up down in Midland, and I contacted him. I actually saw him at SWAT, and I said, could you do a demo? And he's like, when do you want it? And I said, when would be good for you? He said, February. So I wrote it down. And so I appreciate him, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he has to present. So I will over to Buddy.
Thanks, Jim Bob. Can y'all hear this? Okay. Ooh, that felt good. Before I start the demonstration, I just want to say one thing about SWAT. Jim Bob and Gordon are working that thing, and believe me, because I know from experience, that is a tough job. I mean, you are really trying to plan for 1,000 people to come in and watch demonstrations and have vendors set up all over that Coliseum, and then you got to put up with everybody else. So if you ever see one of them, and if you go to SWAT, just watch them, because it's funny. I was standing there, and Gordon walked up last year, and he was talking to the president, and he said, we got that envelope in there from somebody. He said, it was empty. it was going to be in a raffle, and it didn't have anything in it. And you ought to see the expression on his face. The only thing I could do was laugh, because I've been there. I knew what that felt like. So just pat them on the back when you get a chance, because they do a heck of a job. And that symposium is next to nothing if you ever go down there, because it is really enjoyable. I love it.
I do too.
I'm going to do a little demo today on turning kind of an old small hole in it, blackened bowl. And I'm going to pass these around, and you can kind of look at them, and they're all a little bit different on the center. This one is just the natural wood, and then I have this is metal leaf that you put in there, and then this is a metallic paint. And I'm just experimenting with all this. I turn it, and then I think, well, what am I going to put in there? So I take it in and show it to my wife. I said, what do you think about that? And then I get that expression sometimes like, So I go back out to the shop, and I turn that back out again, and I put something else in there. And I go back in there. Finally, I find something every once in a while she likes. So if y'all will pass these around for me. This one here has got some different colors in it. I don't know whether you'll be able to see them or not in the dark, but it's got some red in it and some silver in it and some pink in it. So it's just a little bit different. I mean, I just was trying to put multiple colors in that grain, and you really can't see it enough to where it made any difference, but I wanted to try it and see what it looked like.
Yeah, I see it. That's what I was doing with that finish over there. Really
Now these are going to be turned out of ash, and if you ever cut down an ash tree, there's a lot of lumber in those things, and you can cut it up any way you want to. These just happen to be part of one that I cut down there at home, and then I just sliced it up and made these blanks out of it. So, and it's got really good grain in it, and when you burn this, the grain will burn deeper than the outside wood. So when you burn that, that's where that cream goes. That cream filler will be put in there. I start out with this block. Do what?
We have a lot of reinforced woods cut down in our part of the world. Honey locust, mulberry, and all those stuff will work with this burning.
Yeah. I did one of these out of honey locust. The only thing I found about honey locust was when you burned it, it cracked. I mean, it just cracked everywhere. But it looked pretty good when you filled all those cracks up with that cream. I didn't know that when it cracked. I just sit there and looked at it and went, oh, jeez. And then I started putting that cream in there, and I took it in the house, and my granddaughter saw it. She said, oh, I like that. I said, you like that? I said, well, let me tell you how I did that. So you get in there and you get to knowing, okay, boy, I made a mistake on that, but it turned out pretty good. But anyway, this is what I start with. And I find the center of the blank, and I'll scribe that thing. I'll do it two different ways. One is just a caliper that's just pointed on each end, or a compass, whichever one you like. And I just put it in the center of that thing, and I find it closest to the edge, and then I'll just draw that circle. And that's all I'll do. And then I take it and cut the edges off of it, cut the corners off of it. And this is what I end up with. Now, of course, you're going to have to round all this out. Now, and then I put it on a screw chuck. Now, there's several different kinds of these screw chucks. I didn't know that when I first started this, but this is the one I prefer. Can y'all see that? It's got the little crease in it right here where it fits, the chuck fits down over it and tightens down into that crease. This one here doesn't have that. And I like that better because that chuck holds a lot better that way. This one here, I tried it and it had a tendency to turn.
Trees it up a lot.
Yeah. So that's what this is right here. And it's a 3/8 inch. When I drill the hole in these things, I drill the hole at 11/32. It's got to be a little bit smaller. The depth of the hole, I've got this little thing I carry around with me when I'm drilling this stuff, and it's 7/16 to a 1/2 inch. Nope, don't put this any deeper than a 1/2 inch. And the reason I say that is because you're going to have to hollow that part out eventually. And you can't have it so deep that you're going to run out the back of it. Now, how do I know that? I can guarantee you, I got a lot of these kinds of bowls that's passing around that's got a hole in it. It looks really good, but I can't do anything with it. But just pay attention to that, because sometimes you go over to the drill press and you start to drill and you drill it a little too deep. And if you flatten these things out like those that are going around, then you don't have much thickness in there and not enough meat to drill out the bowl part of it. Because once you start down in that and you go to the depth of the screw chuck, then that's where you got to go to clean all that up. But you might end up looking through this back part too. So just be conscious of that. That's the reason I do it this way, because I want to know how deep that is. And they got stops on drills, but I thought I had some, but I can't find them. But anyway, this is an 11/32 drill bit. There's one in between it and 3/8. I think it's a 23/64 or something like that. But this is the one I use because it keeps this real tight on that chuck. Now then, when you get ready to put it on here, I've got these spacers, these things here. I cut these out, and I'm gonna have to put them on here because it'll stop that thing from going any deeper than what I wanted. But if it tries to go deeper than the hole, you won't ever tighten this thing down. It won't tighten up, it just keeps spinning. And then you gotta take it back off and then find another spacer to put on there to where you can tighten it down. You gotta have enough room where that screw chuck will go in there. And if it doesn't, then it's just gonna spin. You can't ever get it tight. And there's nothing I want at this thing going as fast as I turn it, that I don't want it loose. I want it as tight as I can possibly get it. Now these two right here are the way is normally what I use. I got a larger one and then a smaller one, and they fit just right. Now if they don't, if it's still not deep enough or too deep, then I can put another one on there. And I can keep doing it till I get it to where I want it. But that normally works right there, and you can see that right there is just about a 1/2 inch. But it'll work all right. And then you just put it on there. Now you gotta really
Buddy, I'm fixing to put the feet down on this end. You're moving a little bit. All right.
Now that's on there pretty good. Now you can leave your tailstock on, bring your tailstock up to support this. It just depends on how you feel mentally about this. If mentally you don't feel comfortable with this spinning like this, then you need that tailstock up there just for comfort. Because it's not really going to do anything. This thing, I spin this pretty fast, and y'all will see that in just a second, but when it's going around, it's not going to come off of this thing. Sometimes the chuck gets loose, but this thing has never moved. Now today it probably will. Let's hope not.
I'm out of here.
One thing I do, probably more than a lot, is tools. As all of you know, if you're turners, you buy a lot of tools. I mean, some folks say this is a hobby. Yeah, but it's an expensive hobby. Because every time somebody comes out with something new, you think, man, I really could use one of those. And I got a lot of that stuff in my shop that I've never used. It's there in case I ever need it. But I don't use it all. So when I started using, this is a 5/8 inch gouge. And most of my turning takes place with this gouge. Just about anything I do is that way. Now at SWAT, I don't know, last 3 or 4 years, you get inundated with 40/40. I don't know what the hell that meant, but I heard it several times. And Stuart Batty, I think, probably explains it better than anybody. But you got a 40 degree somewhere in here. There's a 40 degree. I never have until I started hearing all that this past summer. Went back and checked what this bevel was on this gouge. On all of my gouges, they're all cut the same way. So I went back and I got one of those things that do this, because I never had looked at it before. I didn't know what it was. Take a guess at what it was.
40.
40. I couldn't believe it. I was already sick of hearing that. And now I gotta say it. So that's what I got, 40. So whenever you do this, remember that. Now, you can go buy a 5/8 inch gouge, a 1/2 inch gouge, a 3/8 inch gouge. You can just keep on going till you get a lot of gouges. I use this one. I try to do everything with this gouge. I don't change much. Now, sometimes I have to because I can't get into a place with this. But most of the time, I just cut with this, whatever it is.
Now that's a Thompson tool, isn't it?
Yes. And it's a Thompson handle. I like them both. They cut real well and they're easy to sharpen. But everything I sharpen is the same every time, so I just walk over and do it. Now we'll turn it on. Some say I don't like to run the lathe fast. The only thing I found about speed on it, it makes the cut easier. The faster this thing is going, the easier the cut is. It just stands to reason. I never really thought about that when I first started doing it, because I never would run anything really, really fast. But I was doing a demonstration at SWAT one year, and I walked into a stubby lathe right behind Jimmy Clues. And I put my stuff all on there, and I was sitting there ready, and I switched that lathe on, and damn, I nearly ran out of that room. It was going 3,200. And I thought, whew, scared me. And I found I didn't know how to turn it down, but it didn't have a knob on it. You had to open that stuff and move the belt. And I had to get the guy that made it to come in there and do that, because I wasn't gonna run it that fast. But he does this, he'll run it a little bit faster than this, not much. I know most of you that do this, when you're turning like I am right now, I look right here. I don't look down here because I can't see where the shadow is. But if you're looking up here, you'll see this is still pretty flat. Is this side lower, or the middle higher? You can see all that from looking up there. That's got all the flat spots out of it. So now you can start to work on it. What I'm going to try to do, and I say that because every time I say I'm going to do something, it doesn't work out the way I want it to. I'm going to start at the top and start kind of getting an oval shape at the top. This is going to be the top of the road. And I'm just going to start, because I like to peel off this right here so I can see what the shape is going to look like when I turn it around. Otherwise, if I start doing all this and cut off all I need to, then up in here I may not have enough wood left to do what I want to do without shortening the circumference of the bow. So right now I'm just going to do a little bit on this right here, just to kind of look and see where I want it to go. Now you can kind of see how the round is right here. What I'll eventually do is take that all the way around to the center point, where the top is kind of ovaled off like this. Not a real big curve, but just a slight curve that you can see the difference when you look at those bows. You see just a little bit of curve. So that's what I'm trying to do right there. Now what I'm going to shape here is the bottom of this bow. And I want it to go from here, I want it to go in and then come out this way a little bit down here. It's called the OG shape, something like that. I heard that on YouTube one time and I liked that word. I didn't know what the hell it meant, but I liked it. It sounded good. And then I watched the guy do it and I understood what an OG curve was. So, but that's what I'm going to try to do. And get that out where you can flatten up. And then I'm going to put the foot on it. It's going to go inside out. Go into the interior of the wood instead of making the tenon outside. This will be an inning, not an outing. So that's what I'll try to do here. And the reason I started doing that is because when you put one on the outside, you clamp down on it and it always leaves marks. Always. I started doing this putting this on the outside when I put the chuck on it. And it cuts out some of that. This is just a piece of electrical wire. But you can put it over your tenon and then put the chuck over it, and then you can it'll just tighten down and your big marks are left on this wire. So I do that a lot. And it's not rocket science by any stretch of the imagination. You just take this and wrap around what you want on it, and then you cut it. And that's what you get. And I keep a lot of this laying around because every one of these is different. None of them are the same. So pretty soon you end up going, you throw it away, and then you get another one, and you go on. But that's the way I do that on these chucks when I do the outside tenon. I started using it when I'm going in. I like the outside tenon better because the bowl sits up better. When I'm doing something, when I set the thing down on a flat surface, I like for the bottom of the bowl to be, I want you to be able to see it. If you got it flat down, sometimes you don't see the curve in the bottom of it. That's a personal thing. That doesn't have anything to do with right or wrong. Because I can guarantee you everything I say up here today is my opinion. It may not be very good, but it's mine. And it doesn't make it right, it doesn't make it wrong, it just makes it mine. So every how you do this, every how you want to accomplish it, that's the way you do it. I don't think there's one way to turn it. I think there's a zillion different ways to do it. And every how you choose to do it, it's okay. If you're self-taught, then you turn it different than a lot of people. That's what I do. One other thing this shape gives me is more room. Okay, that means I can make the center bowl a little bit deeper and not have to worry about it because I've got more room back here. So it'll give me a little bit more space there when I'm doing it this way. If I come in here and just kind of cut it with a little oval, then all of this would disappear off this boat. And that gives me a shallower distance to turn that boat up. So that's why I do it that way. Or why I started doing this shape over that other one. What I was doing just then is kind of measuring to see, because I want to open the jaws up in here, and I want to make sure this is big enough that the jaws fit inside of it. So that's what I was just looking to see.
You're gonna chuck into a mortise, is that what you're saying?
Huh?
You're gonna be chucking into a mortise?
Yeah, I'll be able to do that. Normally what I would do right now is sand all this off, sand it down, whatever grits, through whatever grit I want to take it, and put sanding sealer on it. And there's a lot of different kinds of that, but I use this some, Myling sanding sealer. And it's easier because you rub it on there, and it soaks up real quick. It dries really fast. And then if I don't want to do that, then I use this. So I put it on there. And then I'll put a Danish oil on the backside of it. And this is what I've got to, this is what it is right here, except I'll finish the top also. And this is the piece that I'm going to burn here in a minute. But right now, that's what that looks like. And you can see it's got the sanding sealer on it, and it's got the oil. So that's what that looks like. Just pass that around, but when I get ready to use it, somebody needs to throw me a long TD pass like the Patriots do. After I get through doing that part of it with the sanding sealer and the oil, I'll probably come back and spray it with the lacquer, and I put the satin finish on top of it. It works pretty good. That oil kind of holds that lacquer up on top. I never had used any of that much. Started doing it just to see what it looked like, and I kind of liked it, but it looks pretty good. And it would finish the bottom of this, and it's real slick. It looks like you really know what you're doing when you're turning, when you turn out something that's really slick. Of course, I got a lot of bumps in it, so I have to do a lot of sanding. But I don't mind doing that. So we won't sand it, but we'll turn it, we'll flip it over, and we'll work on the top of it. And once I get that where I want it, then we'll put that piece on here and we'll burn it. Get a look and see what's happening with that. Wrong with these.
I'm gonna need it, I have to hold the button on it.
Now when you're looking at this, you can see it comes off at a curve right here, but then it's just flat. Let's just try to bring that curve on around a little bit. That's all I'm going to try to do. Part that you don't have to worry about a whole lot is right here, depending on how big you want that hole or that bowl. If you want a small bowl, then you're going to take it down a little bit further, but if you want the bowl, say, to come out to here, then you don't have to worry about that part of the wood. You want the curve to come from there. Wherever that is, that's where you want it to come from.
Buddy, would you describe that cut you're making right there?
I really don't know what it is. Shear scrape, I think.
Shear scrape.
Just using the bowl gouge as a scraper, it's a shear scrape. You can tell by the way the wood comes off of the piece here that it's just shearing that top part of that wood. All I'm trying to do is take out some of the bumps in it that are there. That's all I'm trying to do.
So how you presenting the tool to the wood?
When I lay it up here, I'll tilt it just a little bit. Like in my case, I'll tilt it just a little bit to the right. I'm really cutting off only one edge right now. And then when I start on out with it, I may lay it all the way down and cut off both of them. And that's, I like this cut for this reason. It took me a long time to get the nerve up to do it, because every time I tried to do it before, I'd do it and it just, and then you know you got to start all over again. Creates a lot of firewood when you're not doing it right. So,
The back of your handle always has to be lower than the front so that you're cutting underneath. That way you're cutting, you're not
most of the time when you're doing that, you're cutting off of this part of your cutter. Now when I bring it on around here, it'll go up some. But most of the cut takes place back here. Can y'all see that?
Is that also a finishing cut?
Yeah. You have to pay attention to that, because when you're swinging this tool around, if you got this tool rest set, let's just say it was here like this, and you're going to do that, and you're going to bring that around, well, you can't do it. You can get to right here, but you can't go any further than that. Well, you can, but you're going to gouge out a lot of wood. But you're already having to do something that you don't want to do, and that's raise the handle of that tool up. And that causes the bite to take place. So just set it in here where when you're coming off of it, you don't have to do any of that. You're just going to bring it all the way around, and it'll ride that way. This is the tool rest that I use when I'm doing all that. I mean, they make them smaller, and they might work better. I don't ever take the time to change the tool list. I just try to figure out how to do it without doing that.
Looks to me like you'd run out of tool that's on the short one right there and run off the end of it and get one of that.
You might do it. I've never used one, so I couldn't tell you. Now the thing about this right here, you're at the point where we're going to get ready to burn it. Now you got two options right now. You can not sand it, or you can sand it. I prefer to sand it, because sometimes when you burn that, even the hard part of the wood outside the grains, once you burn it, you can still see the imperfections in that wood. You can still see, well, I should have sanded that. The first one I didn't sand. And I got to looking at it and I thought, that doesn't look good. But I could see the imperfections in this part of that wood. Where I'm going to do the burning, the deepest burning is where these grains are right here. All of that will burn out. So I started sanding. So that's what I do right now, is sand this to whatever point, keeping in mind that this has already been done. Then I would sand this and then I would burn it. So now I need that other piece. The thing you can do to some of these things I didn't do it to that one, I should have showed you. But you can put little chingaderies here in the bottom of it. You know, little decoration. You can take and leave that nearly as full as the outside rim and decorate it. I've been dabbling around with some of that stuff, if I remember. Some of you in here look as old as I am, so you probably have that problem sometimes too. I got that tool, but I don't know where it's at. What did I do with that ruler? You know, and then you stop turning and you spend an hour and a half looking for that ruler. I don't do that, my wife does. I know exactly where I put everything I got.
A long trip back to Colorado City.
I'll be kind of quiet.
That's called AGE. Age.
Now when you're burning this, you want to get the grain part of it. When you're burning it, you want to be sure you see it turn red hot. I mean, it'll turn red. And that's what you want it to do. And then you'll scrape that burnt top off of it. Then you can put the cream in there. But that's what you want to see turn red. Anything like that. The thing about using the cream, it'll fill these in real well. Really, really well. And sometimes if there's got any kind of grain in here, it'll also fill those in. So you may have some silver cream in places that you really didn't know it was going to be there, which is okay. You have to be careful on the edge because it's kind of narrow. And when you turn it around, you may just turn around and all of a sudden you see flame coming out of it. Because that's catching on fire, and it will catch on fire. So you gotta, when you're doing it, just pay attention. Don't sit there and let the whole bowl burn up because you're not watching. But that's another one of those. How do you think I know that? So anytime I say something like that and I'm telling you don't do this, you know I've already done it and it don't work. So don't try that. I don't know whether you can see it or not, but you can see that grain start to turn red when I got that fire on it. And, Any of you ever watched Jimmy Clues? I don't know whether you're familiar with him or not, but you can find his DVDs everywhere. But he's real good at this kind of stuff. He does a real good job of all this. And you just watch him and it's so effortless, so done, that I get kind of jealous of him because he just does it. Me, I had to really work at it to get it the way I want it. But it's not really that difficult to do. All you do is hold the fire up to it, and it just burns it. The thing that it does is it just keeps the burn looking, and you spray it, it will make that black pop, which you want it to do. This does get kind of messy, but this is just a little metal brush. It's all it, I don't know, I think it costs 79 cents or something like that.
Hold it down on the, right there. Steel or brass bristles?
This is steel. Brass is fine. I've got one of those over here too. This is just the same thing. It's just, and both of them work. I just happen to have both of these and I just bought them because I didn't know which one I was going to use.
And you brush it with the grain there or across the grain brush?
I don't know. I'm just brushing it. Right here in the middle, right there, there's a little, it's not really this same grain, but it burned, and I'm gonna scrape it because I want it to come, I want that cream to go on down in there. So I'm gonna scrape that out. And sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put sanding sealer on this, and then I'm going to put oil on it. And I'm going to do that because when I put the cream in there, if that oil is on there, it's a lot easier to get that cream off of this wood. Because it'll get all over it. I mean, I get it all over it. It doesn't get all over it. When I'm doing it, that's the way I do it. I get it everywhere. So, I got this at Woodworld.
From Dallas.
Here, Mike, pass those. That's a couple of them. They're gold and blue metallic, the creams. But this is a silver. It's called New Silver, and it's a metallic cream filler. It's a Jimmy Clues product. I didn't know this until, and I talked to him and I asked him about this product specifically, and I said, do you produce that? He said, no. He said, oh no. He said, all I do is put my name on it. He said, it helps to get those little checks every once in a while. When they sell that stuff, he said, I make a little money off it every time they sell one. So he doesn't really have anything to do with it other than it's got his name on it. And I asked him, How do I get my name on it? He just looked at me. He wasn't gonna tell me even if I could.
Have you ever used the sticks?
Do what?
The sticks that they have had in the past that are, that you can feel things with. It's like you have to knock the edge off that gets hard-headed.
I don't know nothing
But
about that.
they're gold and silver and,
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking
That's a
about. Yeah.
different deal. It's similar, but it's different.
okay.
Now, this is sanding sealer, and this is Milan sanding sealer, and you rub it on there. And it works really well. Once it's burnt, it just soaks it up real quick. So you don't have to put more on there probably what you normally would. My thing is, if you put it on there like it's somebody else's. Just put it on there like you didn't have to pay for it.
You can make it out of alcohol or lacquer or whatever.
Yeah.
You make it.
When I first started out, I didn't do this. And I had a hard time getting the cream off of it. And I kept on wondering, what could I do to make it easier to get that cream off of it? So I went back out there and turned another one, and did this, and it came off. So I said, I'm pretty smart when it comes to stuff like that.
I tell you, it's a good idea to have a fire extinguisher in the shop full of sawdust and vacuum cleaner too.
I do. I got one. No, I keep a bottle of water around when I'm doing this.
Yeah.
You know,
Cindy Rose has got that little key.
can y'all see how that oil makes that thing pop?
Gotcha.
It really makes everything stand out.
Danish oil,
Do what?
somebody asked what kind of oil?
Watco.
What's your Danish oil?
Watco, and I got it at Home Depot. So you can get it there. You can buy it at Amazon. You can buy it at any of these woodworking stores, but it's cheaper at Home Depot than it is anywhere.
You're gonna pay that shipping charge.
I like it fell over. Well, that's not including the shipping charge. You pay a lot of it and then the shipping charge.
Well, see where it is where the brain, the annual import
Take note before you put that on there, it'll make it look
Yeah. If you're gonna pick your nose, you need to do it before you put this on your finger.
They got snot on the road. Sales better.
Have you ever used the red metallic in that?
I did, but I really couldn't see it after I was through with it. Once I wiped it off, the brightness of the red went away. You can still see it in that piece, but you have to look for it. You have to know it's there. And I'm gonna try some of those other colors and see. Try the red, I want to try the gold. The only reason I'm doing this with silver right now because it blends well with black. Or so does red, but it doesn't, I haven't gotten it to the point that this silver does.
Buddy, is there anything particular with this rubbing cream that it takes to cure out? Is it just dry or do you have to bake it or?
This?
Yes.
Nah, it's just hard to get out of here. I did this in the shop the other day and it was 30 degrees. And it was really tough to get out of it. So I stuck it in my pocket and held it for 2 days in my pocket. Left it in the house and then I went and did it again and it was easier. So it helps if it's warmer.
Does it stay a cream on your piece though? Or does it cure out?
When I top it off with blacker, it'll cure out that way.
Is that just a dry cloth?
It's the same one I used while ago, put the oil on. It's got oil on it. Now this is a dry. I'll wipe some of that oil off. But that's what you end up with. Can you see that? And they're really, really fun to do. I really have a lot of fun doing these kinds of things. Same with the color over here. I don't know, I've been a mesquite woodturner for so many years, and still do. But you can't do these kinds of things with mesquite. I wouldn't do it to mesquite, simply because mesquite's so pretty anyway. But I'm able to take a piece of sycamore and do a lot of things with sycamore that I can't do or wouldn't do with mesquite. Even though sycamore is pretty wood, it really is. But I use it a lot to do the dyeing on those boats. They have a technique now, they call it iridescent paint, that you can put on. You thin it down real thin and you put it on something, and you take a hairbrush and you blow it around, and then you end up with a cloud looking thing. If you're ever interested in looking at something like that, just find Tim Yoder on YouTube and go watch it, the cloud YouTube that he does. It's really interesting to watch him do that. But this right here is pretty interesting to me. Now, once you get to this point right here, you can make a choice to feel good, whatever you want to do with it. You can take a Sharpie pen and color this outside rim, if you want to do that. Or you can take a burner and burn the outside rim, where it blends in with the top and you don't have any. This right here, part of it will be burnt, part of it will have silver on it, and you'll see it. And once you get through with this thing, and then you can't do anything about that. It burns it. You can't stop it from doing that. You can take a sander and turn it on and sand the outside of it and see if you can get it off. If you want to leave the wood look there. If you don't want to leave the wood look and you want it to be black, then you're going to have to put a Sharpie in here and sit there and just color it all in, or a burning tool. And I use both.
How about a hard piece of wood right there, and how RPM it is?
I tried that. All it did was crease the piece of wood I put on, and it just got a big old dent in it, and it didn't do anything to that.
Steel wool would be.
I didn't do that. I should have. But I tried it with a piece of wood, and it didn't do that like I wanted it to. Now I'm going to take it and hollow out the bowl. Depending on how big you want it, and that's something you have to decide. I just kind of look at it. It had a lot to do with how big this piece is as to how big the bowl is going to be. So if I put that there, be an inch on each side, and I think that's too big. So I'm going to put it right there.
That was parting tool, right?
Yeah, all I did was just mark the bowl. That's all that was for. This I'm going to turn. I'll turn it out, but and you can do this with just about any tool you got, I guess. I don't know. I've got this tool. Speaking of buying tools, when we go out with Mike Ogilvy down in SWAT one year, and Jimmy Clues had these things on sale that he uses for hollowing. And I looked at them and I run over and told Mike about them, so he goes over and buys them. And I thought immediately I might be able to use them. But that's too far to get them to Colorado City. So I bought this one, and it's the biggest one he makes. He's got a couple that are smaller. You might speak to that, Mike.
It's a good tool. You've got a learning curve just like any tool, but it really cuts, and it'll cut quicker than you want it to if you have a little practice with it. But it's a good tool.
I found the one thing about it you have to do is when you're putting it to the wood, it's got to come dead center in that wood. If you get that off a little bit and start trying to turn it, it don't work real good.
No, it's got to be on.
I mean, it'll gouge and gouge and gouge. But when you're doing that, and I had a trouble when I'm looking at it from this position right here, it's hard to see level. It's just hard to see it in your eye. And like right there, I think that's level, but it's really not. So I got a little level about this big, and I lay on top of this when I'm doing that. And I just see where level is on it. And then I'm doing it by looking at this down here, because that's where I want it. So when you're doing it, and that's what I do, just to see if I'm getting it right.
my son, my grandson works at a place that sells those, smoke machines and all that stuff. And he got me some cannabis cream, and I hadn't been able to play my guitar in 4 or 5 years, and I've been putting that cannabis cream on my arthritic knuckles, and man, it really helps. I need it.
For a minute, I thought you was gonna say you're smoking it.
In other words, those stores have that cannabis.
He's talking about cannabis cream.
And it really helps if you got arthritis. It helps quite a bit if you got arthritis.
Put that cream on the grid and just put it on.
I mean, if you take that pain out of that muscle, where I could make it better. Well, good, man. When you just let this on the door. No, Randy, it don't do no real try to eat it. Well, that's all, that good part, there's marijuana in there.
No, I just make the point right there, if you never could play guitar, just play guitar.
Okay, that's kind of what that looks like now. And now your decision is how you want the inside of it to look. Do you want some color in there? Do you want silver in there, gold in there? Do you want to leave it just like the wood? You can do a lot of different things to it. Just color whatever you want to do with it. But that's what you can do with that. Some guy asked me the other day, he said, "What's it for?" I said, "For whatever you want it to be." I don't know what you're going to use it for.
It's decoration.
It's decorative.
It sits around and looks pretty and it does a good job of it.
That's what I tell everybody. It's a decorative piece. You buy it and put it where you want people to look at it. If that's what you want to do with it. If you want to put candy in it, put candy in it. It has nothing to do with anything other than what you want.
If I'd ever hit a hole-in-one in golf, I'd put that golf ball.
That'd be a good thing. Cut that just right size for a golf ball and put it in there. Hole in one. I can't do that because I've never made one. But that's what the burnt top of the bowl and the cream, and again, you can use colors. I think the big pieces over here where the color is, I mean, your imagination can run wild with any of this stuff. That's what I like most about it. If you make a mistake on it, all you have to do is kind of trim it off a little bit. You don't have to spend a lot of time, because some of the things I turn, if you make a mistake on it, you throw it away, because you can't fix that. If you've ever turned the bottom out of a bowl, it's hard to fix those. You can, but it's hard. And the most embarrassing thing you can do when you're doing this is turn the bottom out of it when you're doing a demo. That's another one, how do I know that? But it's a lot of fun to experiment and try different things. That's my point in all this. I think it's fun. I enjoy it. It's simple. It's not anything difficult to do. It's just getting it. You got to work on curves. You got to work on how you want the bottom. Or you know, in your mind, you'll figure all that out. It comes to you. And the reason I know that is because I don't have one of those minds that can think of all that stuff. There's sometimes I make something and it happened. I mean, I really didn't want it to be that way when I started turning it, but it ended up that way, and I liked it. So I acted like I meant to do it. So, but that's what I'm doing now, plus a lot of other things, but I kind of enjoy this stuff. Now what I would do to this now to finish it out is just sand this out, do whatever I was going to do to the inside of it, and then spray it with like and then it'll be done. Anybody got any questions?
It's a great demo.
It
Thank
was
you.
very good.
Appreciate